We're here at the main camp off of Route 1806, and a few days ago there was a male who came in here kind of looking like this with a red bandana on his face. A lot of protectors, a lot of Native Americans wear bandanas, so many people who might not be paying attention might have just thought he was, one of the protectors here. Can you kind of take me through from beginning to end what happened with this person who later we found out was not a protector?
Sure. Initially, he was apparently on the front line where the police were pushing water protectors out. Somebody had asked him what he was doing up there because he looked a little suspicious, and he said he was there to support the cause. And then they noticed in the back of his vehicle he had an assault weapon. So he started heading towards Osheti-Sequawang camp from the front lines in his truck.
Where are the front lines from where we are right now, and how close is it to the camp?
The front lines where we were probably about 1.5 miles, 2 miles away, north. So then he got in his truck and he started heading south towards the camp, where water protectors on the road tried to stop him. They were yelling at people to try to stop him because he had a firearm on him. And this is a, no weapons camp. There's no violence. It's, peace and prayer. So they tried to stop him on the road to verify he had a weapon. And the man exited the road and went onto the side shoulder and sped off. He had to be going about 60, 70 miles an hour. Water protectors had to jump out of the way of his vehicle because people were all over the roads. And he came close to hitting a few people. So as he was coming down the road, people started yelling to stop him. So water protectors started setting up a barricade on the bridge to make sure he couldn't get to camp, because we have women and children, elderly here, and he was coming towards camp with an assault weapon. So eventually, as he was coming up on the shoulder trying to get back on the road, 2 water protectors followed him with their personal vehicles and slammed into him to prevent him from getting onto the road where he can get to camp. At that point, he kind of spun out down next to a water bank that's down there where the bridge is, and he hopped out of his truck and he pulled out his assault weapon, and that's where there was a standoff for a few minutes there on the road. Then he started backing off into the water. When he was out in the water, about 10 or 15 of the water protectors started to talk to him, tried to plead him down, trying to disarm the situation.
At this point, was he still trying to claim that he was there to support you guys?
I couldn't hear from that far. I was keeping my distance because I had a camera and I was documenting what was happening. But apparently he was saying that, at first he was saying that he was part of the group. That's why he was originally up there. And then his story eventually changed apparently to he was coming down to document the equipment that was on fire, which we're not aware of who set that on fire. Of course, the camp's probably going to be blamed for that, but with everything going on, I wouldn't be surprised if it was the other side that did that. So then he started claiming that he was coming down just to document that. Then there was about like I said, there was about 10 or 15 people in the water, and then it eventually came down to about 2 or 3 to defuse the situation. So it was 2 or 3 water protectors out there and him, and that lasted for about 15-20 minutes, and then eventually BIA came, and they came down to the water, and none of them drew their weapons or anything like that, and he eventually handed his weapon over to the law enforcement, who took him away, arrested him and took him away. So, and
law enforcement took him away. Images were found later. Could you tell me about what you guys found later to realize that who he was?
Sure, yeah. When water protectors searched his truck to identify who he actually was, they had found a DAPL security badge in the truck, along with DAPL vehicle mileage sheets, sign-off sheets. So he was working with the corporation. DAPL spokeswoman eventually came out and denied that he was an employee for DAPL, but I have a website online where I posted some of the photos that I had shot of him being in the water, where apparently he had gotten out that night and actually made comments on my page, and he stated that what I said was true, and that stating that he was in fact a DAPL employee. And he said that he was trying to escape towards safety, But if you're a DAPL employee and you know the police are behind you and your fellow employees are behind you, why would you go the opposite direction towards a camp of water protectors with an assault weapon? That doesn't make sense to me as to why he would be running towards safety towards us and not his own people that were behind him.
And also, it's not it's not illegal to be a DAPL employee, but why are you pretending to be here supporting water protectors?
Exactly. That's another question is, he said he was coming down. When he changed his story, he said he was coming down to document the equipment that was on fire in the distance, but when they searched his truck, he didn't have any kind of camera or anything along those lines. So, there's a lot of questions in the air as to what he was originally planning on doing. But all we know is that he was coming towards camp at a high rate of speed with an assault weapon, and there's nobody that's armed here. So,
and it came out today that he was let go with no charges.
I didn't know he was let go with no charges, but it doesn't surprise me considering how corrupt local law enforcement has been in this whole situation. They originally stated, the Morton County Sheriff stated that, along with North Dakota Emergency Services spokesperson, stated that he had been shot in the hand and that might have been a reason he was fleeing. And they later retracted the statement once I showed photos on the internet of his hands where there were no wounds in his hands. So they blatantly lied to try to give him an excuse to why he might be fleeing the scene until it came out that they were lying. So,
and could you kind of talk to viewers the difference between the local police here, the BIA, you said? Does BIA work with the local police here?
Not necessarily. Somebody who's indigenous might be able to explain it a little bit more to me. But BIA is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and their jurisdiction is the reservation, possibly the Army Corps land, but anything outside of that is Morton County. As why BIA responded, Army Corps land might be a jurisdiction that they could work upon, and situations involving indigenous people might be that. And obviously, North Dakota and local law enforcement aren't exactly here to protect us. So in that situation, they probably wouldn't have came in the first place. There was a DAPL helicopter that was flying really low around the situation the whole time, which indicated that they possibly knew who that guy was, and they were trying to track what he was doing. But Morton County wouldn't have came and helped us in the first place.
This kind of goes broader from just this instance, because from a 360-degree view, from people not here, they see New York Times stories, CNN reports, just kind of dispensing what the police tell them, which is, protesters burning vehicles, no proof of that, protesters shooting at police, no proof that I found. Protectors, not protesters. And a sense, I watched the press conference from a few weeks ago that these are rioters, this and that. So it's kind of the police painting whatever picture they want without real evidence, and the media reporting it. But you see brush fires start across the road here. Nobody knows how it starts. No rescue crews come for hours.
Actually, BIA tried to come and put out that fire, and Morton County refused to let them come and put out that fire.
So this was a huge brush fire that went on for hours, and like you were saying, apparently they got a call down notice not to come.
They got a call down notice not to come. Water protectors and Mother Nature herself pretty much extinguished that fire. By the next morning, Morton County had helicopters out here with the water buckets putting it out. The fire was already put out by the time they came out here dumping out water. That was more of a PR move saying, oh, look at us, we're here to protect people. But at the time that we needed protection, none of the helicopters that fly around here 24 hours a day were seen. No emergency services from their side came to put out the fire. And, I'm sure they're going to try to blame this on us, but as much surveillance and as many amount of eyes that they have on us, if we would have gone up there, they would have seen it in the first place.
Here in North Dakota, confirm, or maybe it's worse than I think, it's almost like a changing of the law in real time. And the police kind of say what happened, then the Bismarck Tribune and other friendly outlets report it as such, and that gets dispensed to bigger outlets. So really what I'm seeing in my 3 times here is protectors, really for the most part not aggressive, and police are the ones instigating, and then they're charging people without any photos, video proof, or much of anything. Just, we say this happened.
Now there are photos and video. I still need to gather that, but the lady that they arrested, that they said pulled out a .38 and shot 3 shots at the police, they have no evidence of a gun. There's video that shows that she was actually holding a staff and not a weapon. So, that's pretty much what's going on here. You have people that are being arrested. LaDonna's daughter was arrested, and she got charged an extra $500 for camping. That's not a law. That's not a fine that even exists.
She was also arrested for speeding when she was in the passenger seat.
Yes, exactly. And then she was stripped naked by male police officers and left in her cell naked all night. That's what's happening here. And unfortunately, a lot of the news just take what they hear from, local law enforcement and don't come down here and speak to the people here about what's happening. Because, if anything, the situation's telling you is that you can't trust what the local media are saying. So that's why people I are here to help push out what's really happening. That's why I have to cover my face, because they've been targeting us. They've been arresting journalists for speaking the truth. So.
And I don't want to stoke any fear, but let's be real. Do you guys hear? It seems like within every 3 or 4 days, if it was at like an 8, it goes to a 10. Are you guys nervous that the police are going to escalate even more?
We're here to stop a pipeline. We're not nervous about what they're going to do. We've already experienced what they're going to do. If they ramp it up, it won't be any. The Native Americans and the indigenous have been dealing with this for 500 years. No matter what they throw at them, it's not going to be something that they haven't dealt with before. So we're not afraid of them by any means. We're just here to stop a pipeline and make sure it's done in a peaceful, prayerful way.
And lastly, just a little bit about your story. I know that you've been here multiple times. Where you're from, what brought you out here? What are you emotionally feeling?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I'm a photographer and journalist down there. Mostly I work with activism, things along that line. I've done stuff in Thailand as well. And, it's really sad to see what's happening out here. So I came and I quit my job and gave up my house, and now I'm here full time. I'm here to dedicate it to make sure this ends the way it needs to end. So.
Thanks for your dedication, man.